See if you can figure out which pattern it matched. Oh, that got cut off too.
And now, okay, something's going on. Guess what? After.
Hold on, wait. Let's start the show and we'll talk. So we're going on YouTube already. Yep, we are live and on the air on YouTube and Twitch, and YouTube is not nearly as delayed as Twitch. It's weird.
It seems to have switched places.
Yeah. So it goes as the streaming services do. But anyway, we are the Foolish Tech Show, and we're mainly here to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you have any of those, feel free to jump over to foolishtechshow.com. We have a IRC chat and a couple ways you can join, and we'll be more than happy to interrupt whatever we may be talking about at the time to focus on that instead. Because otherwise we will be filling the airtime with random shop talk and what have you. Just keep in mind that any opinions expressed here are the opinion of the individual that expressed them and not of the company itself. But you're more than welcome to join in on that as well. In our IRC chat, we always appreciate the community activity and input. And looks like we got Phoenix already in there with a link we already talked about, the poison your water supply clickbait link. Michael, you're a fan of that one, aren't you?
Yeah. I thought we discussed this on the show in detail, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Phoenix must have missed that show. Camera's frozen too.
Yeah.
Not clickbait. You didn't discuss it with us, Phoenix. We did discuss it. Or wait, is this a different one? Is this one that's actually out there and live in action?
Oh, is it because the one we first talked about was just a kind of a proof of concept, basically,
No,
not an
it is
actual.
the proof of concept one, and it was a simulated one.
Mm-hmm.
And let's find the original link because we did talk about this one. Where'd my freaking window go? Oh, that's aggravating. I must have closed it out. Let's see. We did talk about that one. I'll show you the original one that Michael found. We talked about, but it was a proof of concept one, and it is kind of clickbait article, but they did do it against a simulated one. The thing we were questioning though was the legitimacy of that simulated one versus what's actually out there in the open. And Michael did find another link too that showed that there are a lot of industrial systems directly connected to the internet and default passwords and all kinds of fun stuff like that.
It really got depressing as I was digging into it because at first I was very skeptical of it, just like Brantley said, and then after that, as I dug deeper and realized how much were just basically placed out there, but it was across the globe, in other words, so it wouldn't be surprising that a relatively like a third world country might have a bigger problem with something like that than maybe a more advanced nation, but it's many in this country too probably fell into that category. So it's certainly I hope the people that are I hope those guys that are running those water control and other utility shops are listening or reading this type of tech news, or at least having their IT staffs do some research regarding that, and maybe taking some steps to harden their infrastructure, such as maybe putting their stuff behind a firewall or changing default password. I mean, it's just the bare minimum, obviously, and even that would be enough to protect probably the vast majority of those systems.
Yeah, here we go. Here are the links that we talked about it, and we actually talked about it on the 15th, so almost 2 days ago. Um, you say if hackers can shut down power to the Ukraine, anything is possible. Is Ukraine really known for their high security power grid? I mean, I'm not saying I could take down it, and it was a feat still, nonetheless. But I don't know if that I would consider that one a high priority target or.
Well, certainly given the Russian involvement in that area, I'm sure it is a concern because it's
That would lead me to think there would be even less security.
well. Anyway, it's
Certainly not surprising.
I just hope. Look, I mean, we'd hear the reports if they start to happen here. And it probably will be just like everything else. It's a reactive world we live in, so that basically some place is going to have to be hacked. It's going to have to be proven that it was a foreign entity, and then they're going to, get a news story, and then people start making some changes. But I wish it didn't have to take that happening first and the lives affected.
Did they ever?
Just like they didn't fix the dam until.
Fix your video so I can see you freaking out.
I kind of like its frozen, like black and white image there. It's a little creepy.
Yeah, now he's all color flushed. But see, we get to see how flushed he got from talking about these things. So you remember when the power went out across the East Coast? What was that attributed to?
Wasn't that just an overload, brownout?
Yeah,
I mean, that wasn't a brownout. That was a blackout.
Yeah. Well, there was okay. So it was an issue with them switching power. So basically, they were pulling from where they're. That's the problem. There's not like free flow of power across borders and things like that. And so, when there's additional load, they have to kind of make that work. And I think what happened in that situation is this: too much was pulling from too small of an area, and it wasn't getting those areas weren't pulling in from outside. So it was basically a traffic flow sort of issue with electricity as being the cars. That's what I heard. That was the vague description, obviously very vague, that I received. But that's the other thing too. Is this reported correctly? Are these attacks occurring all the time, and we're just unaware of them?
I'm not positive this was the one, but apparently the Northeast blackout of 2003 was primarily caused by a software bug in an alarm system at a control room of First Energy Corporation located in Ohio. A lack of alarm left operators unaware of the need to redistribute the power.
Yeah, so it was a power distribution issue.
But it was because of a software bug that they didn't do it correctly.
But wasn't because somebody put a virus on the system or otherwise compromised their systems from outside. That was okay.
It's possible they could have covered up that by just saying it was a software bug. Maybe some cunning hacker went in and turned off that alarm knowing this would black out the entire Northeast North America. And some people didn't get their power back for 2 days after that.
It is a bit of speculation, but I tend to believe how that story is reported.
It was the second most widespread blackout in history. 1999, southern Brazil had a larger blackout. Oh, this is fun.
Well, anyway, like I said, I think a real event is going to have to probably occur to open people's eyes on this. It's one of those things, like a lot of other things, until you see it, you don't believe it.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was saying, Phoenix. Stuxnet was essentially the same thing. They just got false readings, and they wouldn't know anything was wrong until everything was breaking down.
Yeah, that is how that worked. Especially you have to think about it. It's Deepwater Horizon, that thing. Some of the issues, at least one of the things that was a prevailing concept in that seemed to be that alarms are very critical. Alarms are there for a reason. Alarms need.
Did you learn this off the movie?
Well, some of that. I mean, But you know, if there was any, but you know, this is true. I imagine in any type of industrial
Was that
control.
one with Ben Affleck in it?
Wasn't it the other one? Was it Matt Damon in that? No, I can't remember who's in that. Anyways,
The other
what?
one.
Yeah. Regardless, though, alarms are very important for industrial control system, and turning off an alarm can sometimes be just as effective as, you know, sending a command to lower
Mark
the
Wahlberg.
something like that. Mark Wahlberg.
Nick, Phoenix says the D7X.
I know. I've been waiting for a word in edgewise for 5 minutes now.
Oh, you could.
But hey, how's it going?
Jeez.
Phoenix, you got a. What do you mean it's working okay? It's not working okay. I'm working on problems with it right now. I guess just other than what I said on the site, nothing new. Or I was just trying to get the opinion. You know, the whole show being about software thing. You know. Tell us more. I'm working on the system thing right now because it's a major issue for me, and it'll mess up with custom apps that need it. Not granted, not everyone does, but some do.
What system thing?
It won't install as a service. For me, I can't get it to start itself as a service, so it can do things like wait on combo fix, wait on any custom app that would terminate D72, you know. Like if it doesn't allow whitelisting or something like that. I know combo fix and a couple others do it. Where it has the config option to wait in service mode. The other issue is was running anything as a under the local system account, because it does that. It uses the service tactic instead of you know, something third party. Although it could use ETS, but it's not coded to do that right now. See what I'm saying? I hope you're typing up a good one, Phoenix, because I'm just sitting here and now I'm like, ah! And now like everyone's all quiet. So I hope you're really typing up something good.
What would be wrong with it using ETS?
Nothing, I guess. Well, it's not going to solve the first thing. The
custom app side, but
yeah, and that only even works because it you know, when it installs itself as a service, it will set itself to continually restart. So it can continually restart itself if it gets terminated. Windows will take care of that. I don't have to worry about it, you know. Anyway.
I like that feature in Crypto Prevent too. I said I like that feature in Crypto Prevent too. The service set to automatically restart Windows.
Oh yeah. Did you hit enter or something? Just ... enter, continue. No. Anyway, yeah. I've been a little on edge. And it's weekend. I got Wyatt and we've already been playing, so I like stopped playing to come up here. I apologize. May go down and play if that's all. Actually,
he's probably watching the Twitch stream, and the Twitch stream is seriously delayed compared to the YouTube. We found that out during the sound.
I might have scared him.
You might have. You might have broken his headset.
Also understand, like, no one. Proctor didn't even know this until yesterday. You've known Brantley. I don't know about Michael. He just, who knows. And then the people in the chat. I quit the smoky. Like almost like 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah, nicotine completely gone out of your system almost.
Cold turkey.
You got 2 more weeks and nicotine will be fully out of your system.
Yeah, cold turkey. I can start on my I lost a set of batteries. And I had the DNA 200, which takes 3 batteries, and it's real specific about the same. Anyway, I had some others mismatched, but I lost my other identical set of batteries, were temporarily misplaced. So I was using the USB charging thingy. gosh, when the batteries die and you really need to puff, because I'm a fiend, and I was hitting it while it was plugged in. It actually worked well for a while until I was doing it through one of the desktop. I know it did. It was the desktop charger. Like when I do it through the Anchor here on my computer, it's fine. But the desktop charger that I have is a little power outlet for like the end table beside the couch, and I was downstairs that week puffing on it, and I think that killed it. But
I was going to say that might have been providing a lot of power to it.
well, it was a 2.1 amp port, but it was a USB, but
Yeah. They made because I know you could puff on it while it was connected to the USB with the software and stuff. Like it was designed to do that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
those ports don't put out that much power.
yeah.
Where those desktop ones do put out a little bit more power, sometimes more than what they actually say they're putting out to.
Yeah, that could have been it. But either way, I blew a fuse, and I was like, hey, good time to just not do it anymore, huh?
Indeed.
So,
It is
sorry, I've been a little
I can stop.
aggravated. Sorry. Anyway.
Well, before you go back playing, I thought you'd probably be the one that would be interested in this. It's actually a pretty interesting story. This is the origins of the Oregon Trail. Has quite an interesting history. So it was actually designed by 3 student teachers on a teletype writer. So they didn't even have a computer. They were still like using a typewriter that went over the phone lines to talk to a mainframe. And the game was entirely text-based at the time and paper-based, like you would draw your own map and stuff as you went along. And they were student teachers. One of the student teachers found out that they were going to have to teach the moving out into the Wild West, and he learned about that 3 weeks beforehand. They started putting together like a card game / board game, and then his 2 roommates happened to have just completed classes in programming, and they were like, this would be an awesome thing for the computer. So they decided to program something, and they were like, well, I only got like 2 weeks before I have to start teaching this class. Do you think you'll be able to do it in that amount of time? And they were like, absolutely. So they two programmers basically went into it and wrote it all up. And interesting things, like they point out some of the stuff that they had to deal with in BASIC, like there were no time relation stuff in BASIC, so we had to write everything about dealing with time from scratch. The hunting part, he came up with pretty creatively. Apparently in BASIC, when you there's a type of input that can measure how long it takes for someone to type in their input, and he used that to base it off of like if you type bang fast enough is when you'll actually get the most stuff, and if you typed it incorrectly then you didn't get anything, and some interesting pitfalls like that. And they ended up using it for the class. All the students loved it, which, I mean, we all know Oregon Trail's a pretty awesome freaking game.
Yeah, everyone I know that played it was enthralled with it.
So this class of students got their student teacher to teach them the Wild West this way, and that's pretty awesome. But then after they were done teaching there, they actually deleted the program off the mainframe and printed out all the lines of code. One of the guys went and worked at the Milwaukee Institute of Learning or something along that lines. I don't know exactly where I read that part of it, but he basically, at that time, it was a nonprofit, and the Minnesota Educational Computing Consortium. He went to work there, and since he still had the code, over Thanksgiving break, he ended up typing it all back into the system and then giving it to the MECC and that served schools across the state. And then later, the MECC went to a for-profit and started making money off the game. And they actually didn't get recognized for being the creators of it until the 25th anniversary or something like that, which the company finally acknowledged that they were the creators of it, and they've been getting a little bit of media attention from it. And them being student teachers, they said that that was really all they were ever looking for, was that they got the recognition from it. They don't really care
Because
about
that's important.
the money from
Anyway, that's something to strive for. But anyway, I know that sounds like a long story. I'm going to read it, and I will go, but I want it later. I think I really scared Phoenix, so I'm going to bail. But the Oregon Trail card game, just since you bring it up, and I just texted that link to Jade because the Oregon Trail card game we've been playing since Christmas. She got it for Keaton, and we've been playing it like a bunch. Actually, we played it just quite seriously. Jade and I and my mom and stepfather, we played it.
Nice.
They came to visit last weekend, and we played it together, just the four of us, like for a good while. It was like, we're like, why are we doing this? I was like, Jay wanted to do it, and I was like, oh, really? But actually, we all had fun. Everyone had dysentery, and
But the other interesting thing that they brought to it was so he had to split the class up into groups because the teletyper was basically in a janitor's closet, so only one small group of kids could use it at a time. So he had the other kids doing other school things, and one group got to play, and they ended up picking out the fastest typer and putting them in front of the keyboard. Then one person did the map, and then one person did inventory. And like he didn't give them any kind of instructions for that. They just came up with that on their own, and all the groups started doing it and playing it that way. I thought that was pretty interesting. He said that even some of the 7th and 8th grade students took up learning to read so that they could play the game because their lives literally depended on it.
Nice.
That was pretty interesting. Pretty good story overall.
Anytime a game makes a kid want to, learn to read or something, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right. Would you ask Glenn about the other thing? I don't know if you want to be all whatever, but
yeah, we could. If I was waiting to see if Glenn actually spoke up here. Glenn, are you watching yet? If you are watching, I wanted to ask you because time zones are extremely confusing, and your Twitter answer confused me. So I was going to wait until I could just talk to you. Because time zones are extremely confusing.
Oh, I didn't think to check his Twitter. All right, man. But I'm out before I do any more damage. I will see y'all later.
Okay.
Have a good weekend's internet.
All right, you too.
Oh, now he won't say anything about what just happened or anything about the D7X thing, but he'll just pop in to talk about Glenn. Phoenix, dude. Glean, rather. Is and the time zone. All right, well, do you have anything to say, or are you just laughing?
He was laughing at his joke, I believe.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. All right, well, I'm out. Later, y'all.
Okay.
Later.
With our NBN, what's an NBN? Anyway, so what we were talking with Glenn about, and we'll go ahead and announce it to everyone here, is that on the 22nd will actually be the 365th video on our Foolish Tech Show playlist. So after a full year of doing at least hour-long shows, we're going to switch up the time schedules after that. So we were considering doing Tuesday at 10 and Thursday at 5 p.m. And we were going to get Glenn's opinion on that and everyone else's. So if you have any opinion on it, let us know. But we are also going to cut the times back to about 30 minutes. So just know what you think about all of that, and if you have any suggestions or if that works for everybody, or yeah, let's just go from there.
Yeah, yeah. And I've got an eye on the, yeah.
Okay. Whoa. We need to. Can you overlay a pyramid right below that? Get the Illuminati going in. With Friday 5 p.m. because we were thinking Thursday 5 p.m. Or is that your Friday 5 p.m.? That's why this was confusing to me. So we were still going to split the times up a little bit. So Tuesday we're going to do the morning time, 10 a.m., and Thursday we're going to do 5 p.m. But Glenn, are you saying 5 p.m. Friday would work better for you? Our 5 p.m. on Friday. So you don't like Thursday 5 p.m. You like Friday 5 p.m. Because that's what we're trying to figure out is which days.
So she's saying you're 5 p.m.
Yeah, but is it our Friday or is it our Thursday?
Oh. He says happy with Friday, 5 p.m.
Okay, so he wants to do Friday at 5 p.m. Are we good with Friday at 5 p.m.?
Yes.
We were trying to do not a Friday show, I think, so. Proctor, you were against the Friday late show, so what do you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, 6 o'clock is still our business hours, so we're done by 6. That's cool.
Well, we'd be doing it 30 minutes too, so we'd be done.
So probably definitely done by 6 o'clock. So.
Yeah. No, we can do Friday, Glenn.
My thought was that most people don't like to come in early on a Monday or leave late on a Friday, and that's the way we're doing it.
Yeah, we were doing it exactly that way for a whole 365 shows. All right, well we can do Friday. We're fine with Friday. So we might discuss it more and take some more opinions. We're gonna see if we can get Future Tech Crew opinion on it as well. But usually they're in on the Tuesday 10 a.m. slot, so we think they'll be okay with that. But we'll check with everybody and we'll come up with more specific time slots and announce those probably at the latest on the 365th playlist show, which is the next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. Yeah, that's what we said. That's what I said when I saw it. And they all wanted to change it real fast, and I was like, no, we gotta wait until Friday or February the 22nd, because that'll be our 365th one. And I thought that was pretty accomplishmenting. All right, well, now that we got that out of the way, let's get back to some interesting news and things. I was so interested by that puzzle that I showed off yesterday, the impossible rope puzzle that got solved. This one wasn't solved in as much of a fun way, but it is quite an interesting puzzle box. If you like those, I highly recommend checking that one out. It's pretty cool. And let's see, I had a whole bunch of other stuff for today. So I didn't get to read the full article because it came out right before, and I saw it right before we had to start the show here. But apparently, a town, New Miami, in Ohio, made millions from their speed cameras, but now have to pay it all back. And apparently, it's due to a class action suit.
Oh yeah, I had heard about that class action suit about those things, and this is the follow up. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently, the population is under 2,500, and after they installed traffic cameras, they cited over 45,000 people in just 15 months, totaling for $3 million. But they had a class action suit, and now they have to return those citations back to the people.
Okay, are the people actually going to get all their money back? Really? That's usually never happens. Where's the lawyer money?
I'm trying to read through the article and see exactly what's going on, but apparently, the interesting part about it is that a judge declared the unmanned cameras an unconstitutional means of law enforcement.
Oh, so this would apply so we're going to see those cameras go away?
I would assume so, but the judge said that he decided that the money from the speed camera citations was an unjust enrichment of New Miami. And let's see what's going on with more about it. This is especially unfortunate for the small town since it paid 40% of its earnings to traffic camera company that ran the unmanned speed camera system. So they're actually losing out 40% of $3 million. What does that equal up to?
So it was
$1.2 million they paid this company for these cameras to run them, and now they're going to be in debt that much. They're going to appeal the decision. What were you going to say, Michael?
okay, so but it's about a lack of due process. It looks like what this boils down to, and that was the reasoning for it. In other words, there should have been a means to contest it, and they were effectively treating it as if it was the police officer pulling over and you're giving you got the ticket. They're giving you the ticket in the same way, but not having there's not a a court date or anything like that. So there's not an apparent way for due process. Not to say that there was absolutely no way for due process to occur, but there wasn't. It wasn't. It was kind of hidden, So they would have had, I think, to get around it, they're going to have to alter how they do this, and then probably inform them of what they can do to contest it without paying it and being penalized. That's what I was getting after looking at it. But
so Glenn suggests instead of a live show, why not an education clip played for lead-in to show? That's kind of what we were thinking. Basically, what we're planning on doing is cutting back the live show so that it gives us more time in the week to work on other things like that, and possibly be able to get more like pre-programmed shows that we can show off and go over and like focus on a topic and have edited and be nice and whatnot and what have you. So we were kind of planning doing something similar to that, but we do like having the live show and having this venue of support because it's fairly unique. Not many other offer this type of service. So, plus, we really enjoy talking with all of you, and the people we've made friends with through this live show really have become really good friends. So, yeah, if you got content to submit, definitely let us know. Things you want to see. The reason I like the live shows so much is all of the ones where we did focus topics, we're still getting like tons of hits on those and people commenting on them and updating them, improving them through the comments and stuff even. So I really enjoy that and seeing that stuff being used over and over again when we were just kind of filling air time. So I thought that was pretty good. And yeah, if you have any content, definitely let us know. We'll see if we can make videos about it and focus on topics and such for those. Phoenix posted a link of a futuristic cap that lets people with paralysis communicate. I know they've been working on a lot of stuff with that. Like you can control computers and things with your mind. They even had robotic arms being controlled. So I could see all of that playing into that portion. Speaking of science, though, apparently a teacher was suspended after giving students cooking instructions for crystal meth. 13-year-old
to go
son.
Breaking Bad on us, aren't they?
Yeah, 13-year-old son came home with instructions for making and injecting crystal meth as part of a drama class assignment, not even science class. Yeah, 8th grade teacher. Jeez. That's insane. I guess maybe they were gonna do a Breaking Bad play, maybe something like that. I don't know. How about this
You
one?
think you could do that without actually cooking up some crystal meth?
Yeah, even the show itself made mistakes in the show intentionally so that they wouldn't be giving out the recipe for crystal meth on it.
Dang it, that's why it didn't work out.
Yeah, exactly. More than likely, you would have blown yourself up if you tried to follow Breaking Bad doing that. I thought this was pretty cool too because this is a topic that we have talked about quite a bit, and that's the use-by date. Apparently, the Grocery Manufacturers Association have put together a plan that will simplify the labels you see on food. Right now, it means absolutely nothing what is on those labels. It doesn't matter what label it is. Sell by, best by, expires on, best before, any of that stuff is all basically just junk. Oh, have fun. Hope you go the right cardinal direction this time. Last time you went south, I think, when you should have gone north. Not to jinx you, sorry.
The only ones that are real, from what I think we learned previously, was the ones on baby food.
Were they?
Yeah, from what I understood, those were enforced by some FDA thing, or I don't know, some oversight.
Let's see.
I thought I had read something about that.
Yeah, it looks like the first thing I found was a forum called Circle of Moms talking about it. You would think they might have some insight on that, but the second post there says the doctor told us as long as it's sealed and doesn't have odor when you open it, that it's okay. He said that baby food and cereal is good at least a year after expiration date.
So, what are they specific? What's the test that they're specifically proposing to make it more accurate?
I think they're just going to come up with a more streamlined, everybody agrees on, because that's the biggest problem right now is all of those things are different. Like all of the packaging and food have just different things that they put on them, and they don't really actually tell you what it is.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, they can all standardize on the wording that they use to present this. They're saying the confusion is coming from the varying ways in which it's presented, but I didn't see, and maybe it's just because I didn't read the whole thing. That could very well be it. But it's not saying, you know. So in other words, if the manufacturer can still put on whatever date they want to, as long as they format it correctly, I don't know that it'll actually change some of those things. It still would seem that they have the control to have a consumer buy something when they want it, and especially if they put out stories like this saying that, we're going to all have these great, better standardized labels. Maybe people start paying more close attention to them because I think they're may have an impression of better faith with them, I suppose. But let me read the rest of it here to see if I missed something.
I'm trying to find that site that was really good for the expiration dates. Eat by date, maybe, is that the one?
Yeah, so it does this article. See, the food. Okay, and again, the Food Marketing Institute is an advocate for the food retail industry. So it's
That one.
they have. You hear what I'm saying, right? They have.
They're trying to. I mean, that's mainly what those things are for right now, is to market and be marketing, basically. So
Yeah, but
throw away things that have expirations that are.
So we're getting expiration reform by the industry that puts out the expiration dates currently. It's basically what I got out of reading that bottom part.
Yeah.
In that article. Now, that being the case, I think this is completely horrible. Because again, this is putting out basically an article is this is oh, look how great this is. This is great. All the consumers of mothers are going to be reading this article and be like, oh wow, they're trying to look out for me, and they're probably not gonna if they skim it like I did originally, they're not going to see that bottom part.
Well, it's not that bad. I mean, essentially what those people are doing are trying to make it so that the food tastes the best.
No, they might say that, but they're just getting you to buy the food on a scheduled basis so that they can have a flow of money coming into them, whether or not this has anything to do with you being hurt by eating something that's older. And as we discussed,
no, Michael, because that would cause money to flow outward if they didn't care about if things could hurt you or not. So if they didn't put that date on there, and
you're right. It does. It's
6 months old, then you can sue that company for.
Sure, but we've shown that there's you could probably leave a McDonald's hamburger a week in the road and eat it and not die, and you might not even develop a problem. Okay, am I going to recommend that on a hot summer week? No, but they've been some anecdotal evidence to suggest that that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And that being the case, I think it's maybe initially it was to mitigate lawsuits against killing people and stuff like that. But now I think it's in modern times has solely become a method for them to potentially increase revenue. And if enough people,
I mean, I see like that. Your fear is there, but I also, I mean, like I don't believe any of the expiration dates that get set on things, and I usually search on Google to see how long something is good for after the expiration date.
Yeah. So why would where? Tell me, short of a complete, charitable organization, even those sometimes have issues. There's no company that just says, I'm just gonna do something solely to help the consumer without any benefit to me whatsoever.
We do that. Why wouldn't other people do it?
If it was coming from anywhere other than the industry, this is their lobbying industry. If it was coming from anywhere else, I'd buy that story.
But hopefully it will be good. We can at least look on the bright side and hope for good things, right? I mean,
if they're all consistent, I'll say that that is an improvement. Hey, it's maybe better. Maybe it is better than it is now, but it doesn't address the actual.
If they just actually do use the same words on all the food that comes.
Well, that's great, but the problem I have on a larger scale is passing a law that doesn't address the issue, and I don't.
Well, it's not a law getting passed.
It's not a law. No.
You're not getting any more government regulation. If anything, the government's going to be torn apart. So.
Well, okay, yeah. So, you know, but generally expiration dates, though, in their defense, I have seen, I haven't seen expiration dates, things like on milk, go down ever in my life. At least I don't recall having seen it. In fact, I think I've seen periods of time when, you know, you look at those ultra pasteurized things and the expiration date is actually considerably longer.
Oh, so
again,
maybe your
but then
theory isn't correct there.
no, but the thing is, you have to pay for that extra. You have to pay for that extra.
Yeah, but no, if your theory was correct and they were just using it to make money,
Then it should be going down. It should be.
Yeah,
It should be going down. You're right
they're
about that.
staying consistent. That seems like it's more of that's when they can guarantee the best flavor and no issues at all with it. Because I mean, it says on that eat by date place, it says it could last anywhere from this time to this time, and it all depends on how you're storing it and the conditions it in and the packaging and various things like that.
And you're right. They are concerned about how it tastes because that's truly what brings people back.
Yeah.
And I can see that. So yeah, you're right. I guess we'll have to see what this results from.
I mean, if you start going and getting milk that says it expires tomorrow every day, then you might be on the track to something. But I do think they do have a little bit of.
All right, I'll buy your argument. Yeah, I'll buy that. That's a good.
And I guess if they just standardize it is what I'm really looking for, so that we can know that, oh, well, this one probably can last longer than this. So that's what I'm looking for, is a little bit more standard.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I was a little bit too negative on that one.
Completely unlike you, completely out of character. Don't know where that came from. Speaking of which, though, being negative on things, we talked about the unique McDonald's straw that they came out with.
Oh yes, and I went to McDonald's today, and ordered one of those shakes just explicitly to try to get that straw, and they didn't have it.
Yeah, so there's only 2,000 of them that are going to be passed out, and this article does give you a little bit more detail. Apparently, they are only going to be available on February 24th and March 1st, with only 2,000 of them across the country. It's going to be hard to get your hands on one.
Like a golden ticket hard. I mean,
yeah, almost.
Looks like you'll have to buy that one on eBay.
With how many people are served by McDonald's currently?
I mean,
that wouldn't even do that.
That wouldn't even handle an hour at a store. I mean, at one store.
Does McDonald's even still do that? Billion people served or something like that?
No, I think they stopped keeping track of that number. It was already billions and billions last big time they changed it. As I recall, I don't recall seeing it in all recently.
Oh man, so they back in 1994 they passed 100 billion, and that's when they decided to stop counting because it passed the 99 billion mark. And that would have made everybody have to change their signs. They've served over 100 billion people. That is insane.
Well, you do have to understand that this is since the inception of McDonald's. And so, that number is going to
but listen
of potentially every person on the planet.
Listen to this this timeline they have. So the milestones they have are 1955, 1 million served. 1956, 5 million served. 1 year they served 4 million people. 1960, 4 years, they served 400 million. 1963, 3 years later, 1 billion people. 1969, 5 billion, 76, 20 billion, 84, 50 billion.
And hold on, though, you have
billion.
to remember it's impressive growth, but some people, eat at McDonald's every day,
It's still a person being served.
Yeah, no, it is.
So that's
there's nothing wrong with what they're saying, but it's when that number is so far in excess of the total number of people on this planet, like it, clearly it is. I believe it starts to become a little meaningless, though it absolutely is a measure of their growth. If you compare back to, like you did, those earlier years, wow, their growth is phenomenal. It's truly a success story. It's the reason they made that movie with Michael Keaton. I believe it's called The Founder. It's about the guy that what was his name? I forget. But it's about the guy that started McDonald's.
I can't remember the video or movie I saw it on, but there was a super awesome. I think it was a short, a mockumentary about how McDonald's got started, and it was by like this drunken mean clown, and he ended up taking over another burger restaurant because they had really good fries, and he convinced the guy to join his company instead. It was super funny. I wish I could find that again. I can't. I've tried. But anyway, yeah, Proctor, if you get your hands on one of those straws, let us know. You got a week to prepare to try to get one, and then another half a week to try to get it again.
No mention of where the straws will be dispensed.
Not from what I've seen so far. However, this person tried it, and they said that anytime they ordered one of those shakes, it came blended. So the straw makes no difference at all. And even when they asked for the shake to be layered, 9 out of 10 times they still got it blended.
Oh, mine was layered today.
Which is kind of like McDonald's, you would think. But cool, yours was layered. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe they got a corporate memo across the place after this article came out.
And I asked about the straw, but they didn't know what I was talking about. But the lady at the drive-thru thought that was really cool.
Well, this person said that it was not as useful as he would have hoped, especially when you start getting down to the bottom of the shake. You end up, more air gets pulled through that J thing than drink does, so you end up not
I can see
able to
that.
drink the bottom of your shake, which is what they had specifically tried to design for. But still, it is a cool novelty and definitely a way to get billions and billions of more people to buy their shakes. I think Michael is even going to go buy one and then just throw it in the gutter.
If they're that rare, and I truly
Probably in front of
that
a homeless person in front of the gas station while he's eating the hot dog that they was given. McFlurry.
Well, I mean, but if you truly did get the straw, if you were fortunate enough to get it, that could have it could become something you could make money off of, I suppose.
I know Proctor was talking about he's going to go on eBay and get somebody else's straw. That would not be something I would be buying off eBay. Hey, let me buy this off eBay and put it in my mouth. Great idea.
You could sanitize it.
Yeah, I'm sure. You might end up with Michael's straw. You can't sanitize that. Even more fun news, though, moving on from that. Apparently, China has an issue with trash on their power lines, and they came up with a way using drones to get rid of that trash. Now, picture this. Drones that shoot fire. How badass is that? Fire spitting drone. Only thing cooler would be if they dressed it up in a dragon costume.
Okay, so I found a list of the participating McDonald's.
Oh, paste it. Is one in Anderson?
Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
That's pretty far away, I think.
Yeah, they're all pretty far away from me.
God,
That's probably the closest one to me. It's the one in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
Where is that?
And on March 1st, there's only going to be one restaurant in Pennsylvania. They open at 5 a.m.
11 a.m. Mount Pleasant, right by the Super Center. Whoa! That's down by Charleston. Dang, that's a 6-hour drive to get a straw. Probably not happening. And that is not a fun drive either. That is like the most boring drive after Columbia. Like a horrible, long, boring stretch of road with nothing around it. Cool. Well, I hope somebody's near there and can send us a picture of your straw so we know you got it. Oh, there's going to be a couple in Georgia. Oh, Atlanta's actually closer. I'm sure
Oh, okay.
Northside Drive in Atlanta is going to be real fun to be in at 3 p.m. Why did they only do Pennsylvania on the first?
No idea. That's weird.
Let's see where this is at in Atlanta. Oh, right off Georgia Tech. Yeah, that is not going to be a fun place to wait at 3 p.m. That's only 2 hours away. That might be worth it. What do you think? You think we can get a golden ticket?
We can road trip.
Man, that place is going to be packed. How far is Albany? I'm surprised they didn't do Florida or North Carolina or... I mean, what they could have done... What's this divided? What's 2,000 divided by 50? They could have done 40 straws at every state. They got to have more than 2,000 straws.
Yeah, I can't believe they just have 2,000 straws. That's just crazy.
Especially with all this prep and advertising. Like, if you only had 2,000 of them, you think they would, like, not even tell anyone until they just gave them out and then, like, announced it. Because that's gonna be, like, worse than Black Fridays.
Yeah, people are going to be killing people for these straws.
Yeah.
So maybe they do come in those cool boxes.
Yeah, that might be. Like, people start yelling at you when you walk out of the store drinking out of it. What are you doing?
You got my straw!
Do you know how much that is worth and you're drinking out of it? I'll be like, yeah, I know somebody that's going to buy it off eBay from me. So shout out to our friend developer, Squatting Dog Development. He's come out with a new beta plugin for Connectwise, which is one of the nicer ticketing systems. Later, Glenn. I thought you were already gone 200 kilometers ago. But later, Glenn. Talk to you later. Anyway, Squatting Dog came out with the Connectwise plugin, so if you use that and want to have the calendar synced to your regular Google account and not have to have a Google Apps account or a Exchange account, he's got a plugin in beta for that, and he's a developer that developed a LabTech plugin for Uninstaller, so check that out too if you have LabTech and Uninstaller. Good stuff there, good stuff. Michael, your keyboard is super loud. What do you think about this? Did y'all hear about this? They're going to bring the Woolly Mammoth back.
did hear something about that.
Yeah. So CRISPR genetic engineering.
Yeah.
They
So
say they're a few years away from it, but they're going to have a hybrid elephant mammoth embryo.
yeah, it's gonna have certain traits. It's not gonna be
A woolly mammoth. Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a Asian elephant that has the external hair, has their
Small
blood,
ears,
small ears. Their blood will also be adapted to
cold adapted blood is what.
There you go. There you go. So you're in the same
Yeah.
thing. It's
Are they going to
interesting
have
though.
tusks and stuff like the huge long
I'm not
tusks?
sure about that. There may be some limitations on what they can do. So the thing is, this is CRISPR. It's another use. We've actually seen a lot of stories about this, or at least I have, if you follow. Um, the CRISPR use. They're talking about trying to do this on human genes and stuff like that as well. I think CRISPR is a great thing, but there needs to be some oversight on how it's adapted. I would hope that there's going to be a long period of time of review before they move it on to humans. But certainly they could do experiments like this otherwise, and they will
What
do
was
that.
that? Was it Galactica? What was that movie about the human genetic engineering stuff?
I think it's called Splice.
No, the brothers. One brother was conceived naturally, and one was conceived genetically engineered. They both wanted to be astronauts.
Oh, that's
The one kid had to save the other kid from drowning because they swam out to the furthest point in the ocean, see who would turn back first. Gattaca?
Gattaca.
Yeah. That's what I thought about when I saw this. I was like, oh man.
I'm surprised you remember all the details of that movie. I haven't watched that movie in so long. When did that come out? Like 1990 something?
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, it was Ethan Hawke, one of his earlier ones.
Yeah. But it's a really well done movie overall. And it poses a lot of the interesting things that genetic engineering brings about. Like,
it was well ahead of its time. Yeah, a more recent one that has been done was one called Splice. It wasn't as popular, I don't think, as Gattaca. I want to see, maybe I can show you a link to that. That was a little bit more fantasy, but they basically were, in all of these things, they're probably using, or the technology behind it is effectively a tool like CRISPR. Who, by the way, recently, I believe, I think it was whoever created the school, was it MIT? Maybe they actually got credit for it before it was apparently a fight between who had actually created that. It was developed at a school though. So,
well, the interesting thing I thought about Gattaca while you're looking that other one up is it kind of was like the point of the whole movie was you can't genetically engineer self-inspiration or perspiration or something along those lines. Like the motivation to do something is incredible, and that's what got him to be where he was, to actually become an astronaut in that time when it was so unlikely.
Sorry, I didn't pull the ref off of that one, but that's effectively
Splice. See if it's as good.
It's so it's got a guy I usually enjoy, Adrian Brody. It's a very small cast. Probably a relatively low budget. They did have some special effects, of course. Geez. Well, I guess low budget is 26 million these days. Ooh, they lost.
Yeah, I wish that was my low budget.
They lost money. They apparently, that was the budget for it, and they only grossed about 17 million. Oh, but that was only as of 2010, so July. So
Again, I wish that was my budgeting. For a single action. Speaking of interesting lab-grown things, apparently they grew a pork chop completely free of animals.
And these things are supposed to be tasting better and better, so I'm actually for these
Using
types of
stem
things.
cells. Now, what it brought up interesting to me is, where does vegetarianism land on this?
Yeah, now they're stem cells, so they're theoretically created from animal cells. Yeah, is
Yeah,
that
but
life?
they have a thing about sentient beings. So like it has to be sentient. So they like, for them to consider it animal and to fall under the vegan code of not eating or harming it, it has to be a sentient life, is what I understand. And
Well,
based on that,
that's all that requires that is
there's a lot of argument about whether pearls from oysters were vegan or not. Because a lot of people don't believe that oysters are sentient beings. So I don't know. I thought that was an interesting debate. But this will really bring in a new thing. Like, they can't tell if you're really a carnivore or if you're just eating lab-grown meats.
So yeah, I guess it would all come down to that sentience thing. Would all come down to the the nervous system. If they think that the animal in question can feel
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form, then it would be disqualified from.
That was one of the arguments, was that oysters do have a nervous system, and
yeah. Whether or not they scream when poked is a different matter, but that it doesn't mean that there's not a response, and we can't envision what it would be like from their perspective. It possibly could be extremely, maybe they are screaming, who knows.
yeah.
But
But see, that's what bothers me about the whole thing, is because I feel like plants are probably just as sentient as oysters, and you ripping them up out of the ground and eating them just as bad. And eating nuts and stuff like that is like eating embryos. It doesn't make sense. So, anyway, I think that's probably a good spot to drop it off on. Great way to end the show. Unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about.
Well, listen, a large amount of pollution and the CO2, if you're concerned, comes from raising animals, cows and pigs and everything else we would consume.
Yeah.
Chickens. So if they could do this on a mass scale and it's relatively cost effective, it's expensive to raise a cow.
Yeah.
So I imagine that the cost thing would probably be on their side.
What really excites me the most is that we're a step closer to the Star Trek.
Well,
walk up to a box and say,
think
order.
about it too. The vast majority of all the land area in this country is farmland, and and cattle raising, and just basically stuff for our food infrastructure. Now, obviously, we're not going to get rid of the farms, but we will free up a huge, I imagine, amount of real estate if we didn't have to have cows and pigs and chickens everywhere.
Yeah.
And that space could be used probably more effectively for other things, especially places that are too crowded. I think there's a lot of benefits, but there's also some downsides too. You're changing a large. I mean, there's still many families involved in producing food, and you might take some of those out of the equation, and they would have to probably look for different types of work at that point. I imagine it's a completely different process growing this stuff in a lab than it is to actually doing it the old way. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be one of those game changer things, and it'll be interesting to see how the food industry responds or comes back or maybe tries to fight this.
Yeah. Well, if we don't have anywhere to run off to, I do have one last interesting article that we could probably all talk about here. Apparently, there is a case where a former employee has now received 34 months in prison and $1.1 million in damages for a revenge hack. Brian Johnson, age 44, shortly after being fired, hacked his former employee. And
did he really think he wasn't going to be found? You know, you get kicked out the door. How long before you? And that immediately must have raised a red flag for them. But this is kind of along the lines of that thing that we were talking about, where that guy was, you know, he was let go or was fired or left, and then
and didn't give the password.
Yeah.
So apparently, but this one, in this case, he used previous accounts to connect to the Mills network and alter various configurations, bringing in some cases the Mills production to a halt. So yeah,
that's more direct damage.
Yeah, don't do that if you get fired. Just leave nicely.
That's a huge. Yeah, I mean, if he thought his financial troubles was hard prior to this, imagine.
Well, he has free hots in the cot for the next 34 months.
Yeah. And it looks like at the very end of the article, they talk about a sysadmin who worked for a Pennsylvania ISP received 2 years in prison for crashing the ISP's network and then requesting a ridiculous sum of money to help fix the problem. That sounds more like the password broom scenario, as Nick put it. So, yeah, I just thought that was a pretty interesting article. That'll be a good one to wrap up the show on. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on this Friday evening. We are mainly here to provide support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you do have any of those in the meantime, you can always feel free to contact our support via the various means on our site. Otherwise, if you want to talk to us directly, you can do so at 8 a.m. This coming Monday morning, and we'll be more than happy to spend the time talking about that instead of the random shop talk that we fill the air with. So, with that, have a great weekend, everybody, and hope you had a great week, and we'll see you all next time. Take us on out, Proctor.